Hey fellow music fans, welcome back to Psychology of Rock. If you're new here, my name's Nina, and I am so excited because today we are talking all about The Warning. And if you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you know that I am a huge fan and supporter of this band. In fact, I feel like they are one of the best things that's happened in the music scene in at least a decade. And I have a whole Warning playlist. I will go ahead and link it down in the description box below if you want to check that out. But it has been absolutely incredible finally being able to hear some new music from them. They gave us a little sneak peek a few weeks ago when they played some of their new songs live, and it really inspired me to talk a little bit about why I think this band is so impressive lyrically and what their formula seems to be for consistently writing songs that are both powerful and thought-provoking. I'm going to mainly focus on songs off of 21st Century Blood and Error only because they wrote Escape the Mind when they were so young, and because the other is a concept album, so it has a little bit of a different writing style since it has a different purpose of telling a specific story. And because I do eventually hope to make a video all about the album because I think it is such a work of art. I also want to say that I use the word formula very lightly here because I certainly don't believe that the band adheres to any specific rules or guidelines when they are songwriting. Their music does not seem to be contrived in any way. Their process seems to be very organic and their music is incredibly authentic, which is part of the reason why I think their music is so appealing. But still, there are similarities that we can find between the songs they write, and even though they continue to grow and evolve as artists, I do think there are common threads that connect their work, and these are things that are worth both noticing and appreciating. So as I see it, The Warning tend to have two distinct types of lyrics: personal narratives that evoke an emotional response, or social commentary pieces that evoke intellectual stimulation. Some songs even cross into both territories, which is kind of incredible, but I think for the most part we do tend to see these two separate themes. So let's talk about both of these song approaches, keeping in mind that I am in no way attempting to speak for the band. This is merely my own analysis and interpretation, and I'm also very open to hearing new perspectives, so please don't hesitate to leave your own thoughts down below in the comments. I would love to hear your analysis. But let's go ahead and start with the songs that seem to be personal narratives. Songs like 23, Choke, Amor, Animosity, Breathe, and When I'm Alone. I think one of the things that makes songs like these so compelling is that it's like this little window into what these artists are going through behind the scenes when they are not making music. It helps us to get to know them on a deeper level because they are sharing these very personal experiences with us, which really helps us to strengthen our connection with them. And so many of their songs just have such incredible emotional depth. They're able to tap into and beautifully express the full range of human emotions, from love to sorrow to anger. And many of these songs are also very relatable because they talk about situations that many of us have also gone through. Maybe we haven't had the exact same experiences, but I think the topics that they often sing about, like unrequited love, betrayal, loss, heartbreak, and just the overall complexities of human relationships, are things that we can identify with or at least empathize with. Songs like these help us to reflect on our own life and our own emotions and experiences. And because so many of their songs have this strong sense of vulnerability, it goes way beyond surface level. We feel like they are letting us into their heart. And this is especially true when they play these songs live and we can hear and experience their emotions. When Dany or Pau cries, the whole audience cries right along with them. A great example of this is when Pau recently sang Breathe at the Pepsi Center. I cried just watching it on video, and it looked like the entire audience was also crying. And when a song can affect you in that way, it's a very special experience, and it's a sign of a great artist. But believe it or not, the songs that I like even more by The Warning tend to be the ones that are focused on social commentary and sharing their opinions, observations, and concerns about aspects of modern society. We see this in songs like Money, Kool-Aid Kids, 21st Century Blood, and Disciple. I think they do this in a very clever and interesting way, and like their name, many of these songs could be thought of as warnings. I also really like their approach. I feel like they simply open a dialogue without pushing their personal convictions. It's like they challenge us to think without telling us what to think. And I think that makes a big difference because it doesn't come off as being condescending. It just encourages critical thought. Something else that I really like about these songs in particular is that there's often a lot left up to interpretation. It's not always in black and white. They can say things very artistically or use symbolism, so you can kind of read between the lines and create your own meaning. That's something that another artist that I really like, Dio, said that was very important to him, that he wanted people to be able to find their own meaning. And I think that the warnings sometimes do that as well. And this was definitely the case for me with the song Evolve. I always assumed that the song was about personal growth and evolving as a person, and it was very meaningful to me for that purpose. I recently read that their intention behind the song was to raise questions about whether or not it is good for society to be changing and evolving so quickly. So I completely missed their intention behind the song, but the song was still very meaningful to me because I was able to create my own meaning. But I also really love when they do share their perspectives a little more directly, because it's an opportunity for many of us to see things through the eyes of a completely different generation that has grown up in a very different world than we did. Now, of course, they do have fans that are their own age or even younger than they are, but I would say the majority of fans do tend to be older. Now, I am Gen X, so I definitely did not grow up in a world that always had cell phones, computers, or social media. So it's fascinating to me to hear their perspective because they've been immersed in this technology since birth, yet still have concerns about how all of this is changing humanity, from our social norms to how we relate to one another to what our priorities are. And I think many of us are drawn to bands that have lyrics that do make us think or challenge our assumptions, or at least make us look at things in a different way. I think that should be one of the major functions of art, whether it be a book, a movie, a painting, or a song. And I love many different musical artists, but as you can probably tell by this channel, my three favorite bands would have to be The Warning, Rush, and Tool. And I think something that really connects these three very different musical experiences is the depth of their lyrics. I think when a band can inspire introspection and critical thinking to this degree, it really just adds another layer to the music, and it helps us to connect to it even more. Now, that of course does not mean that we can't enjoy or appreciate music that does not have this element. I mean, AC/DC is probably in my top 10 favorite bands of all time, and they definitely do not have this layer at all, yet I absolutely love their music. But given the choice, I would say that having a band that does hit lyrically and musically is always going to be my personal preference. And I absolutely feel that The Warning really does check both of those boxes. And I thought it was very interesting that the one time, at least in my opinion, that they seem to kind of stray from this formula, which is for the song More, which I do still think is an incredible song, but it didn't have the same emotional or intellectual depth that we are used to, that the fans kind of had a mixed reaction. There was this big debate among some of the fans about what they thought of the song. Now, it's definitely not my favorite Warning song either, but I do think it was a smart song to make, and I think that it's going to provide them with a lot of opportunities in the future. The second that I heard it, I immediately thought that it could be their doorway into performing on SNL, and that 20 years ago, the video would have been played constantly on MTV. I was not surprised at all when they were asked to play the song at the VMAs, and they did an amazing job with that. But seeing this kind of mixed reaction really highlighted the fact to me that the fans really do appreciate what the band does typically bring to the table lyrically. And I think that some fans were a little bit nervous that the band could be going in a different direction. I think that now that we've had this little preview of their amazing new songs, however, that it really solidifies that even though their music may evolve as they continue to evolve as human beings, that the quality of their music and their lyrics is definitely not in jeopardy. They are just incredible artists on every level, and I truly believe that The Warning is an extremely valuable part of our cultural and artistic landscape right now, and truthfully, they just cannot write a bad song. So those are my thoughts on The Warning, but I would love to hear yours, so don't forget to leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your favorite Warning song and your favorite Warning lyric, if you can even pick just one. It's really hard to do. As always, I truly hope you enjoyed today's analysis. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not yet done so, and I will see you next week.